Welcome back everyone to another episode of Vegetarian Cooking with JJ. In this week's episode, I'm making a very popular Swedish dessert known as a berry crumble or Smulpaj Med Bär. I hope I pronounced that correctly. In any event, with this type of berry crumble, rather than having a pie crust on the bottom, you just put the filling directly into the pie plate and then you top it off with a crumble. This is going to be a super delicious recipe. I'm super excited to make it and of course try it in the end. So without further ado, let's head over to the kitchen and get cooking! We're going to put 2 cups of our mixed berries. We have raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. Here's our second cup. Here we have our strawberries. We'll just take off the leaves. Some of these have stems that are sticking up, so it makes it easier to remove them. We'll add in 1 cup of strawberries. And I'll add an additional ½ cup of mixed berries. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of our raw sugar. A ½ teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Here's our ½ teaspoon of pure almond extract we're adding. Otherwise, you can use almond paste. Almonds are quite popular in the culinary world in Sweden, and almond paste and marzipan are used quite often in baking. Almond paste has more almonds and less sugar than marzipan. And since I couldn't find any around here, I decided that almond extract would work just as well. Swedes are known to hide an almond in the rice pudding. It represents good fortune, and whoever finds it is expected to get married in the coming year. We got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Actually, I think 1 should be good enough. And a ¼ teaspoon of nutmeg. These are optional additions. And 1 tablespoon of potato starch or cornstarch. The aroma is coming out so nicely as I stir this. We'll allow the flavors in this berry mixture to infuse, ideally for an hour. So we'll pop it in the fridge. In Sweden, there's an abundance of fruit and so many different types of berries. There's lingonberries, bilberries, wild strawberries, and wild raspberries, which are much smaller in size and packed with more flavor. Raspberries were first documented in Sweden in the 1600s, and the Arctic raspberries that you'll find there have quite a woody stem, so they require either a knife or scissors in order to harvest them. Lingonberries in Sweden are much like cranberries, but they're smaller, juicier, and more tart, and they're ideal for jam, which is quite popular in Sweden. And then there's cloudberries, which are very much sought after. They're super expensive and super hard to find. You can only find them in the wild. And as for their location, it's kind of like finding a hidden treasure. And once you do find them, you have to be careful about the way that you harvest them. Be very delicate with them, and it's ideal if you keep the sepals on to protect the fruit. And the type of container matters as well. You want to maintain the integrity of the fruit and make sure the fruit isn't crowded together, otherwise it will spoil. As cloudberries ripen, they go from red to orange and tart to sweet and creamy. Cloudberries take 7 years to bear fruit, so you can understand why they're so expensive. In Sweden, you can freely pick berries, wildflowers, and mushrooms as well on the public land. However, you just have to be careful about the protected species. Anyone visiting from outside of EU countries must obtain a work permit if they want to go about picking berries and wildflowers and mushrooms freely. So now we'll toast some slivered almonds. Adding a half a cup of rolled oats here, a quarter cup of flour all-purpose, 3 tablespoons of our raw sugar. We'll add it in, or you can add a quarter cup if you want it extra sweet. And we're going to get the equivalent of a quarter cup of earth balance. So that's 4 tablespoons worth here, which is the equivalent of a quarter cup. Be sure to preheat your oven to 350 Fahrenheit. I'll just blend the dry ingredients evenly here. And I'm adding our earth balance into our dry ingredients with a fork, breaking it up and mixing it in as evenly as possible. And we're adding a half teaspoon of the almond extract. We're just going to switch to gently mixing it with our fingers. You may want to add a pinch of salt. So now our berries have been sitting for a little while. So we're going to place them directly in. Yes, that's right. We're not putting anything on the bottom here. And it's okay if you mush them up a little bit. We got our crumble topping that we're going to spread as evenly as we can. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Also, don't worry if there's some parts peeking through. So we'll pop this in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And at the end, we'll add the almond slivers for the finishing touch. There we go. Because of the abundance of fruits and berries in Sweden, it's easy to come to the conclusion, well, that's how these desserts must have come about, these delicious berry crumbles, to use up all those delicious berries before they went bad. Also, it ties into the tradition of doing fika. Fika is a mixed-up word from the original kaffe, which was the original spelling of coffee. So this type of break came about, it was simply a coffee break to start off, a break to socialize with your friends or coworkers. But then the desserts came into play and they became a must. And the Swedes, they pride themselves on the presentation of the desserts. They do look quite fancy. And bosses in Sweden, they make sure that their employees have room for fika. And if you're participating in fika in the workspace, you do so by candlelight. How romantic. And as for the coffee, Swedes prefer their coffee black, strong, and filtered. And we're going to top this with our so delicious dairy-free Simply Vanilla Cashew Ice Cream. Whee! It's that time again, everyone. I get to try our delicious berry crumble, aka Smulpaj Med Bär, I hope. Okay, here we go. Oh, you know what I forgot? The almonds. Yay! Our toasted almond. Of course, it's optional. Our toasted almonds to add that extra flavor. Here we go. And it's simply divine. That pop with that toasted almond flavor is amazing, and I recommend don't skip this part if you want to take this to the next level. Many different recipes online call for more sugar. I reduced the amount of sugar and it didn't need any more sugar. It was just right. I want to thank everyone who hits that thumbs up button, subscribes to my channel, and remember to hit that little bell notification icon so you don't miss a single video, because I'm traveling the globe in my kitchen, keeping things interesting in my kitchen and in yours. Bon appetit.